Now, when Jesus heard about the beheading of John the Baptist, he withdrew from there in a boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the crowd heard it, they followed him on foot from towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place. The hour is late. Send the crowds away so they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to food for themselves." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish." And he said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit on the grass. Taking 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled. They took up what was left over from broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Please be seated. This story is one of the most well-known in the Gospels. It is one of the few that is included in all 4 Gospels as well, the feeding of the multitude. It is one of Jesus' most significant miracles, but it is also one of his most political as well. This is the time of Roman rule, the power of the emperor who is the source of all things and the provider of all you need to live. Jesus has heard of the execution of his cousin, John the Baptist, the voice in the wilderness who prepared the way for Jesus and baptized anyone who would come to him, including Jesus. He was grieving, tired, wanted some needed rest and quietness. So he takes a boat and goes to a deserted place to be alone, to rest, to pray, and to grieve. Good plan and well-deserved, but the people had a different plan. When they heard where he was heading, they came on foot from surrounding villages and towns to be near him, to see him, to hear him speak, and hopefully be healed of some ailment they may have had. The magnitude has always been referred to as 5,000 people, but the last line of this reading says, "And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children." The idea of pretty much ignoring women is a sermon for another day, but it may have been upwards of 15,000 that were actually there. Even though Jesus came to be alone and rest, he felt compassion for them. So he got out of the boat and he did exactly what they were there for. He spoke and he healed for hours. When it was getting late, the disciples, who must also have come on foot, went to him and said how they were in the wilderness. The hour is late, the people are hungry, and they did not have enough food for them. As if Jesus didn't know any of that already. So, what they did was both logical and harsh at the same time. They said, "Send them away so they can go and buy food for themselves." Logical, given the fact that they do not have enough food for them, but harsh to tell people who traveled far just to be near him to go away and fend for themselves. Go back to the markets ran by the Romans to barter for food and supplies, because again, the emperor provides all that they need. But here is where Jesus turns the table. Here is where he tells them he will not send them back to Roman ran markets. He tells them to go find food. Now, I am sure they thought he was completely out of his mind, but they do as he asks. And as we know, they come back with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, convinced that when Jesus sees that this was all they were able to gather, he will have to say, "Send them away." Instead, Jesus looks away from them. He looks away from the crowd. He takes the bread. He looks up to heaven, to where the real source of all things come from. He asked God to bless the bread, and he did the same with the fish. He broke them, gave them back to his disciples, telling them to take and feed the people. As we know, the magnitude, including women and children, ate until they were full. Instead of just having eaten, there were 12 baskets of leftovers. One for each disciple, maybe. One for each tribe, maybe. Instead of Jesus performing all of this on his own, he includes the disciples. He took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to them all to eat. Sound familiar? If not for God's help, they would have all been in the wilderness, in the dark, with no food and no resources. There are magnitudes of people today in the wilderness, in the dark, with no or little resources. But we, as the disciples, are called to follow Jesus, to minister to those needs. Remember his mantra: take, bless, break, give, and feed them. This may be God's work, but he needs our hands to make it happen. Let it be so. Amen. Please stand as you are able for our hymn of the day. Come, let us